Aloha Kako guys, welcome to Just and True. I'm gonna go over calibers just to make not beat around the bush. It's kind of late here. I want to get to Marfugel News and watch his stream. But I did have a really quick conversation with one of my subscribers about the perfect defense weapon, or firearm I should say, for an SHTF situation or survival situation. When people hear that question, especially more advanced shooters, they think in a very linear way and they think in absolutes, and survivalists need to stop thinking in absolutes. A lot of people say, well, I'm just going to get a 22 long rifle and it's the most common shell and it's cheap and the weight capacity and blah 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 blah, which is all true. It's all absolutely true. But what you need to realize is that there is a caliber and different ammunition types are different tools. They all act very different. It's like saying what's the one tool to use to fix your truck or your car? You don't need one tool, you need a whole toolbox. You need multiple different kinds for multiple different situations and events, and it's the same thing with ammunition. Do you want a magazine? Do you need to use a magazine? Are magazines a waste of space? Are magazines do you need it for that particular style that you're going in? Can you use a bolt action? Can you use a cylinder revolver? So, do you need penetration? Do you need stopping power? Do you need silence? Are you going on a hike? Does it have to be heavy? What's the burn time on it? There's all kinds of different features of the ammunition that you need to pick that needs to be researched. I probably keep around 6 to 7 different types of ammunition per caliber, depending on what I'm going to be doing with that weapon. If you have an assault weapon, you're going to want to go for a stopping power. You're not going to want to go for penetration. If you go for penetration, you might actually help them by, not doing as much damage. If you want to, get a bigger rounds, you want to get full jacketed, you want to get, stopping power. If you're going for hunting, you want to do something completely different. You want to go for something that has good velocity. You want to have something that has good range, good weight to it, something that you can keep accurate from a distance. If you're in your home and you have children, for instance, and you're trying to defend your home, the last thing you want is penetration, because you might miss and shoot through a wall or shoot through multiple walls. If you're single, if you're living for me, and I plan on shooting through walls. If someone's coming through my house in an entry point, and I know that they're coming through my house, there's only one entry point in my house, for example, and I face my bed towards it. So that wall actually you see right there, right in this area, would be the entry point to my house. The door is facing right here. This is what I keep next to my bed every night. This is a 44 7.5 inch Ruger Super Blackhawk, and it's always loaded, which I highly recommend everybody keeping loaded, regardless of what your beliefs or laws even are, because as long as you have a trigger lock on it, you're fine anyway, unless you have kids, of course, and other safety reasons. But I use this for a very specific purpose. A lot of people make fun of me because it's single action. A lot of people make fun of me because it's a 44, and a revolver to begin with. But if I were right here and I heard a group of people entering from my the door right here and had a Smith & Wesson 45, just a semi-automatic 45, I could load off the whole. I'd have 15 rounds to shoot into this 2x4 into the sheetrock, 2 or 3 levels of sheetrock, but it's not going to get the penetration as you would with a 44. 44 is essentially, you got the stopping power of a 223 high-powered hunting rifle, and that's what I want. When I'm doing home defense, I want either a Mossberg pump shotgun, or any kind of shotgun, really, any pump shotgun, because the amount of power in such a small area or you want something with good penetration. Now, when I'm doing hunting, you want basically the same thing. You want a long range, something that's not too weighted, but something with a good velocity, a good high speed. And again, every tool or every event, every situation has a different caliber that you need to use for. So just keep that in mind. How are you shooting? How are you going to the range? What feels good? What feels best for you? Because how I shoot and how I tactically think and set up my defense is going to be totally different than yours. You know, if you're in a jungle environment, you're not going to send a fleet of armaments out. You're not going to send a fleet of tanks out. You're not going to send cavalry. You're going to put infantry out. You know, if you're in a giant desert, you don't want a bunch of infantry on the streets. You want cavalry, or you want planes. If you're in the ocean, you're going to use the Navy. So no matter what you do, you need a specific type to say, I'm going to have a 22 long rifle, and that's going to be the end all for anything. Well, yeah, that might be the end all for squirrel hunting, or rabbit hunting, pheasant hunting, stuff like that, but it's not going to do anything to my full Spartan 300 plates. I mean, it's not going to do anything to, unless you get a headshot and it'll rattle around. I mean, you could probably, Tupac took seven 9mm rounds. 50 Cent took, 6.45 rounds. I mean, so if you think that a 22 is going to help you, it's not. Don't just think what's the most common round and what's the cheapest round and what's the lightest round, because that might actually get you killed. Think about, what do I need for this specific situation? What do I need when they're at a distance? What do I need when they're closer up? What do I need when I'm hunting? How am I going to not bruise my meat? How am I going to afford this kind of ammunition? How much does the ammunition weigh for each scenario? Which kind of brings me to my next point. A lot of people will pick one firearm in particular to use as their defense weapon, and that's, in my opinion, another flawed linear way of thought, a very absolute thought. You need, in my opinion, again, 3 separate firearms to get the full trinity of, if you will, of defense. You know, you need your long range, your medium range, and then your extremely close range, or your sidearm. You can use your sidearm if you like, but you always want to keep a sidearm. So if you're hunting, you want a long, you can get a 223, you can get a 308, you can get even get a 50 cal. Like, those things are like $1,500 nowadays. Save up and get yourself a nice anti-material rifle. It's completely legal. If not, then after your long arm hunting rifles, you want something that you can handle within 80 yards to 30 yards. So you're looking at your M1A4s, you're looking at your Bushmasters, or not your M1A4s, you're not going to get military stuff. You're looking at your Bushmasters, you're looking at your assault rifles, you're looking at your 5.56, you're looking at all of your 7.62 rounds, you're looking at things that are mid-range, things that you can handle mid-range. Now we're getting you up close, you're probably going to want a shotgun with stopping power, or you're going to want something, if you can get it, if you are in countries that allow automatic weapons, or if you have grandfathered automatic weapons, then yeah, that's fantastic. But most situations you can't, so I always suggest a shotgun, and then you definitely want a sidearm. There's going to be situations where you can't reload, or you are up shit creek without a paddle and you don't have ammunition, or you don't have the time to again reload, or you need a second weapon but you can't carry a second weapon. So that's why you definitely always need a sidearm, whether it's a 9mm, 45, a 44, whatever best suits your shooting and tactical skills. Everybody's different, and everybody's different when it comes to combat, and that's very true for anything. So you're going to want those 3 or 4 weapons. You don't want to stick with just one, because if you have a bolt action 223 or bolt action 308, yeah, if you're looking at a 300 yard or a 400 yard shot, then yeah, perfect. If you're going for boar or deer at 200 yard, then yeah, that's awesome. But if there's a group, 3 or 4 men with shotguns or pistols, and they're coming at you from 60 yards or 50 yards, you're going to really want that AR, you're really going to want that 5.56 or that 7.62 round, you're really going to want something with a high capacity, medium-sized caliber, possibly without so much penetration. And when they get close, or if you're in a close quarters environment, or if you're having to loot, or if you're having people in your home, you're probably going to want something like a shotgun, which is like the go-to home defense, right? Because if it's you can do birdshot, you can do buckshot, you can do slug. It totally depends on. You can really control and customize what's coming out of that thing, and also the stopping power when you're close is unbelievable. And then also your sidearm. You're going to have to, when you're out and about especially, you're not only going to want your primary weapon, you're going to want a sidearm. Again, for it basically, in my opinion, doubles your magazine. So you basically have two active and loaded magazines to switch from without having to reload or having to worry about if you're alone and you have no cover or no one to cover you, then they know when you're reloading. So these are all tactical. They're uncomfortable conversations to have. Absolutely. It's like sitting down with your kids and talking about the birds and the bees. But they're things we need to think about. So in everything, do not think in absolutes, and in everything, especially survival, don't think in linear thoughts. Go out there, invest in your 4 weapons, your long, your medium, your close, and your sidearm, and invest in multiple types of ammunition for each scenario. I know this is a very it's kind of a challenge to do financially and economically, but if you can do it, it will be the best, because there are people out there who will have these things, and there are people out there who won't understand as much as you do either, so you can utilize that to your advantage. The more firearms, the better, and the more ammunition, the better. Silver, water, antibiotics, seeds, all of these things will be great trading commodities. Any kind of medicine, but ammunition, I think, will be definitely up. I think right below silver and water, to tell you the truth. Because with ammunition, you can feed yourself. With ammunition, you can acquire more material and resources, and with ammunition, you can defend your resources. So I think it's a very important thing to have. If you even go to your gun store, if you don't have a weapon now, what you can do if you're 18 or 21 and over, depending on where you're at, you can go out to these gun stores and just start buying ammunition. Just go buy, if you don't have a weapon, go out there and start buying a bunch of 22 rounds. Go out there and start buying a bunch of 9 rounds and 5.56 rounds and shotgun 12 gauge and 20 gauge rounds. Go out there and start buying tons and tons of ammo. Because if you don't have a weapon, or if you can't have a weapon where you're at, or you feel unsafe with a weapon at this time, you really want to have one in these scenarios, someone will definitely trade you. Someone who has multiple firearms will definitely trade you a 9 or a rifle, or it doesn't matter what the firearm is, they'll trade you it for a case of ammunition if they have multiple firearms. So just think about that. You may come across in trade or in commerce after a unfortunate event. You may come across someone who's willing to trade if you have ammunition. Almost every American, unless you're a felon, can go out there and buy ammunition. So start doing it. Even if you don't have a rifle, even if you don't have a handgun, go out there and buy. Just like silver, except it's cheaper. It's just like food. It's just like everything else. Just because you don't have the firearm doesn't mean you can't have the ammunition. Because someone's going to be willing to trade for it, and you're going to need that ammunition when and if you do get your firearm anyway. So go out there, start thinking along the lines of calibers, and start doing your research into exactly what different kind of ammunition there is and what kind of ammunition is designed to do what job. Because if all ammunition and weapons were created equally, we would all just have a .44 Magnum, because you really don't need anything else. And that's the kind of false thought that will get you killed, because there aren't just one weapon, or there isn't just one firearm, and there isn't just one caliber. There's thousands. So please do the research for your sake, for my sake, for everybody's sake, and go get yourself geared up. Aloha Kako, thank you guys for stopping in. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you on the flip side.